my man Mo. What up, man?
Hey,
Look at you.
I'm reaching out to Hose right
Look,
now.
he's trying to get Hose on here. That's mad.
trying to get Hose here, man.
That's weird. We're just trying to be a couple of guys having a little fun on a potty waddy, and this guy's trying to get Hose involved.
Potty waddy.
Yeah. So this week we're joining you.
Please give me a second. I'm on a potty waddy break. I need a.
You can join us here. We're here at the cemetery. Well, you ever go to the cemetery? You ever take a walk in the cemetery?
Dude, where else are you going to meet goth women?
Is that where you meet the goth ladies when you're feeling that?
I have a girlfriend. I'm in love with her. It's great. But
Well,
back in the day, dude, when you're looking for a Pokemon, you got to go to a place with the element, you know? If you want a fire type Pokemon, you go to a volcano. You know? If you want an ice type Pokemon, you go to Alaska. If you want a goth woman, gotta meet her in the cemetery.
You go to the cemetery.
I'm kidding. But I will say, cemeteries are peaceful, man.
Yeah,
They're peaceful to walk through.
yeah. You ever go to a cemetery, and you're just like, you see a guy, he's like mourning somebody, and then you just run up to him and you go, hey, what are you doing? And then he looks at you and he's in tears, and you're like, oh, I'm sorry. And he's like, what? And then you just be like, sorry, wrong grave. I thought I got the wrong grave. My bad. That's a good bit. It's a good cemetery bit.
You know,
People love that. People love
a good cemetery bit.
Oh man, when you're in a cemetery, people love to be messed around with.
Dude, I think if you're gonna meet people, meet them at a cemetery. You're gonna say hi to
Hey,
them,
it doesn't get worse than being dead. So may as well meet them where everyone is.
I don't know, man. I don't even know where I would be buried here. There's an Islamic cemetery that we've talked about in other podcasts before. But like, I don't know, like what happens if like a cemetery's full, you know? Like it's hard to find houses right now. It's hard to find like cars and shit. Like I wonder if like cemeteries are just full too. Like you can't find like a good cemetery to be in.
Yeah,
You end up having to be like put up in a Walmart.
Well, I think if you're trying to honor religious, like religious traditions, you're gonna want to have, you're gonna be a little bit screwed, I think, when it comes to where you're gonna be buried. You know,
I forget if we talked about this one day, but we should just like get rid of all cemeteries except for like the good ones. Like keep Arlington, keep like the Confederacy, you know. But like, let's like just wreck a bunch of graveyards and build homes, you know, for people who are alive who can take advantage of them.
Yeah, for sure.
I believe in people, man. We should eat the rich and fuck the dead.
Damn, dude, that is harsh. What about like just can you open a fresh one? Can you just make a fresh cemetery? Just chop down some trees and be like, yeah, this is the new one.
I also assume cemeteries have to have a lot of flat land, right? You don't want to be digging holes in hilly areas, you know?
Well, the town I grew up in had a very old cemetery, and it was called Old Burial Hill. I don't know. You know, it's funny that it's
was it old. A make-out point too?
I'm sure there was some making out happening at that one, but it was Old Burial Hill, which oddly it couldn't have always been called Old Burial Hill because at some point it was just Burial Hill.
Or just Hill.
Well, then no, people were being buried. This all the headstones and whatnot, really old.
If there's a
Marblehead, Massachusetts, Old Burial Hill. It's there.
Shout out Old Burial Hill.
Yeah, shout out to it.
Please give them a like and a follow.
Yeah, we'll drop a link in the description. But there was actually a couple famous movies that had scenes filmed there.
What movies?
Some a little movie called Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus was filmed there.
There was a scene in Hocus Pocus that was filmed at Old Burial Hill in Marblehead, Massachusetts.
Goddamn.
Yeah,
that's a good movie.
You like that one?
I love that movie. I like that and all the old Halloween Town movies, man. All that Disney shit was hot.
Yeah, and the other one was not as well known, but it was called The Good Son, and it had Elijah Wood and Macaulay Culkin in it. Two people you've heard of.
Which one was the good son?
It was a really twisted
It was Elijah Wood, right?
yeah, really twisted movie. Oh, yeah, he was the good son.
I had a feeling.
He was the good son. Macaulay Culkin, the bad one.
Bad boy.
Yeah, spoiler. He's the bad one. But that was also in there. And there was there's a scene where he throws something down a well, which is in that graveyard. But there's nothing in the well. It's like, it looks like it would be a well, but really it's where homeless guys used to just like throw their empties. Or maybe not homeless guys. There's probably one homeless guy in the town, but I would say it was like where high school kids would party, and they'd probably throw their beer bottles in there, and it would just a lot of broken glass in there. They eventually filled it in. Really cool story about a fake well.
Dude, a town's doing well if they got like one homeless guy.
Doing well at the well.
At that point, like it has to be your fault, right?
I honestly
got one homeless guy.
I'll be honest, the homeless guy wasn't actually a homeless guy. He had a home.
So it's zero homeless guys.
No homeless.
Marblehead for the win.
Yeah.
What's Marblehead doing differently than us?
It's very secluded.
Yeah.
It's like
very white.
It's pretty white.
Okay.
It's pretty white.
Even though most of the homeless I see in Portland are pretty white.
Oh yeah, it has nothing to do with that. I mean, homeless, you can be anybody and be homeless. It doesn't have to be a race of people.
I think some people have more of like a percentage chance though.
Yeah. It's probably true, but I will say that there was no issue there with the homelessness. It's mostly because it's not a throughway. You don't go to this town. You don't go to Marblehead and like go anywhere. You're just going to Marblehead. You can't go anywhere else through Marblehead. It's like its own
the Atlantic Ocean behind?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
right.
like it's like a, it's kind of like a peninsula, really. The whole thing's sort of a peninsula. And you don't drive through Marblehead to get anywhere.
So like if I go to Marblehead and I don't know anyone, I'm just there.
Yeah, you'll have the cops called on you.
Oh no, okay, that's not where I was going.
Okay.
Marblehead's getting dishonored right now. But no, what's like the local haunt? Like what are they known for? Is like they're a Marblehead hoagie or like
it was the birthplace of the American Navy. That's pretty well known.
Shout out Navy.
The Navy was there. What Marblehead? Just
I almost thought about joining the Navy because they said the Somali language was sought after. They were like, at the time, pirates were a bigger thing, so they're like, that would make you like more likely to get a better job. But recruiters, they'll put anything up your ass to recruit you.
Yeah. So why didn't you pursue that?
I was smart enough to.
Navy's cool. Navy's pretty cool.
Get a scholarship without having to do that.
Yeah, I know one Navy guy. He's a pretty smart guy.
Most military people are pretty smart, especially those in the Air Force, dude. And like a lot of military dudes, if they do it right, or military gals, if they do it right, they come out like. I don't meet a lot of hungry military dudes. Like
no,
they come out.
I mean
every successful.
The military people I know have all been very smart people.
There's hell. The place I live in, my landlord is a military dude.
Yeah.
But it wasn't for me. And honestly, I have like I don't know. It's like when you're in the military, you have to follow orders, man. Like, what if you get to war and you don't feel ethically in line with said war?
I think they do a pretty good job of making you feel into it.
Yeah,
I think
they brainwash you. Obviously, if
there's some kind. There's some. They get you there.
But also, like, there's duty. Some people, like, some of the most anti-war people or like, Iraq and Afghan war people were some of the veterans. So, like, it must suck to have to go through that and feel like,
And, yeah, it's tough. And, when you sign up to serve, you got to do it. That's the deal, man.
You got military people in your family, or?
I got a couple military.
Do you think you would You'd
I
get
thought
through
about
basic?
it. I thought about it. I think I would. I probably wouldn't be on the field. I don't think they would put me in the field unless they want to like have a guy get over the mines okay because he doesn't set him off because he weighs about 9.5 pounds, full grown.
Well, dude, they could do like the Captain America project with you. You know, they'll just you could be
Yeah.
be it. I don't think I could make it.
Is there a career that you would have liked to pursue?
When I was younger,
Yeah, that you didn't get into.
I wanted to be a lawyer. I went to school with the intention of being a lawyer. Talked to law firms. I had like mentors and everything. But my first job out of college made me more money than being a lawyer after a couple more years of school. So I just made the decision like I would just go later on in life, and then every year I just kept doing the math, and like the cost benefit wasn't there. Lawyers aren't paid enough.
I noticed it's mostly the firm that makes a lot of money,
Yeah,
and the lawyers maybe don't make as much.
I don't. Well, some lawyers do. Obviously, like some of the best advice I ever had from someone was just like, the greater the foundation, the bigger the building, right? Like an education still has its value beyond the financial merit of it all. Like, what was your degree?
Business.
And then you went on to accounting, right?
I did some accounting, yeah.
Hey, Navy could use some accountants.
I'm sure they could.
Especially now, dude.
But I'm tired now, and I'm sure they don't want a tired guy. So.
Oh, we both aged out. I fatted out probably around age 25.
You
right?
fatted out of the military?
I fatted out of the military. They're like, we can't bring this back.
Yeah,
we can't bring you to fighting shape, kid.
Nah, man, you can't get on the plane. The plane, you got to sit in the middle, You
I don't even know if we got equipment big enough for you, my boy.
You got to be in the nose.
Oh, man. But no, also, I don't think, like, from a disciplinary standpoint, like, if I got, I don't know, I don't take getting yelled at well. Only person that can yell at me is my mommy.
I love getting yelled at. Oh my God, yelling. Just yell. Just yell at me all the time.
I just scream at you.
Who wants to be yelled at?
Nobody, but like there are people who will get yelled at and just take it.
Yeah, no,
and that's not me.
No, I blew it. I worked at a place where I allowed the owner to yell at me, and I accepted it. And and then I heard other people. The first time he yelled at them, they snapped at him and were like, "You do not talk to me like that," and he didn't. But I let him do it, and he just yelled at me from then on.
Dude,
getting yelled at's a little wild.
I just get things stick to me so bad. Like if it gets caught in my craw, I get so mad, and I just I would probably just quit on the spot.
Yeah, I don't want to be getting yelled at. Pretty sure if I got yelled at a job now, I would be leaving.
I'd rather get hit than get yelled at.
Oh man, really?
Yeah, man, smack me in the face, but scream at me? I don't know, man. Maybe that's triggering. My childhood, I got yelled at a lot.
Didn't get smacked around too much.
I got smacked around, but I didn't get my mom never hit my face. I never understood that. When I talk about getting hit as a kid versus when some of my other friends talk about getting hit as kids, it's different. Because I think my mom actually loved me. It was my leg, she'd smack my legs, she'd smack my butt or my back or something. Not she'd pinch me, not leave any marks, but some people were like, yeah, my mom smacked me in the face. My mom, my dad freaking punched me. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, those are they're trying to kill you?
That's intense, man. No, I saw an article online that was yelling at a kid is almost as bad or is as bad as abusing them in other horrible ways. It's equally as traumatizing. So when you're yelling at a kid, it might leave a pretty bad effect on them. It's really not good.
Yeah, maybe that's the bad effect. But I just remember as a kid you get numb to it. Because I was like, my mom can yell at me, right? Because
Oh,
my
yeah.
mom, she took me from Kenya through a refugee camp, took me all the way through the Atlantic Ocean,
Yep.
from Boston to
Yep.
Portland for a better life for me. So it's like, she gets a pass. My mom gets a pass. She can say whatever she wants. She can do whatever she wants to me. I owe her because she put in a lot of work. But like this, some fucking dude that pays me like a fucking salary to live, and there are other jobs out there for me. Like, if you start screaming at me, bro, we're done. I'm like, that's like, I don't owe you.
Yeah.
I don't owe you beyond that. Like,
No,
fuck you.
I know. But I've yelled at him. I yelled at him back. It was a lot of yelling.
Good for you. Fucking
Yeah, we would
scream at him.
I would yell at. I would. Why wouldn't you? I mean, that was the environment. People were yelling at each other.
I just don't think shit gets done when you yell at each other.
No, it's not a healthy work environment. You kidding me?
Also, like, I feel like you get more done if you're calm and you're like, I've walked away from a meeting feeling bad and like motivated to do better after somebody talked to me in like a low voice and like they had no emotion. It was very direct and cold. Like, you are not doing this. I need you to do this. And if you don't do it, we'll find someone else who can.
Yeah.
That to me is more motivating than like, oh, the fucker, because that makes me think you have no control.
Oh,
No
yeah.
control over yourself.
Well, the best was like, I was always the one to deliver the message, but I wouldn't be responsible for why the message needed to be delivered. So I wasn't responsible for what caused the message. I was just delivering the message, and then I would get yelled at, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? You know?
Yelling at the wrong person.
You're rolling the, and then I would tickle him. I just be like, you son of a bitch. What
Are you
doing?
are you just cranky right now?
Yeah, why are you so cranky?
Dude, I posted something on TikTok a while ago about how we should just start talking to like our friends like we do to like dogs and puppies. Like, oh my god, are you okay? You're so cute.
Isn't that how women
You
talk to each other?
walk?
Isn't that how they all talk to each other?
Maybe that is how women talk to
That's
each
pretty
other.
much how women talk to each other, I think.
You seem hangry. Let's get you some food.
Yeah, oh yeah. You know when you're with your friends and you're like, you seem angry. Let's get you some food in you. Yeah.
Let me give you a belly rub, dude.
Okay. That's making me think about hanger.
Hanger.
Are you a hanger guy?
No, dude. I don't get angry.
You don't get hangry?
I have stored calories, so I'm, maybe I got a way to keep through it. But, man, my girlfriend gets hangry sometimes.
Well, yeah. Well,
gotta
do you
feed her
think
sometimes.
fats don't get hangry?
I think it depends on what fats. Depends on if they have diabetics. If they have the diabetics.
Yeah.
But I don't know. How about you? Do you get hangry?
I get really hangry. I become such an asshole when I'm
When
hungry.
was the last time you ate today?
I had lunch. It's fine. But like, it's just really bad, and it doesn't happen as often as it may have used to. But it's like, man, like you just can't help it. It's like there's just something because you're hungry, and you get mad. You can't control yourself.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I grew up fasting. So I'm Muslim. I grew up like fasting during Ramadan. So,
I can tell.
Conditioned. Fuck you. Conditioned to like, I don't know, maybe be okay with not eating for a while. Because I used to just go from like morning to like night just not eating because I'd be so focused on work. I would just have coffee, like water, seltzer. But like, I don't know. I also think, I don't know, like, I get more, I don't know, I don't get angry about that stuff. I get angry when, like, my time is wasted. That's when I get mad. Or, like someone, like, when things are late.
What do you try to alleviate the anger? What do you use to get through your anger?
Soothe their anger. I go through, like, the stages of, like, understanding the situation. Like,
Yep.
oh, it's whatever I want is late because of XYZ. It's nobody's fault. How hard is it to, make sure things are delivered on time? Like, it's a big logistical network. Or, oh, the server's taking a while because of XYZ. For me, it's like the promise expectation that's the problem with me. Like if you set an expectation and meet it with me, I'm like your best friend. Like I thought, like I love that. I like consistency like that. Like yesterday, I called somebody to buy something. They told me in the morning they'd call me before the end of the day. She called me right at the end of the day. She instantly became my favorite person. She did exactly what I wanted, called me right back. And or like even if she didn't do what I wanted, but like it's that expectation. It's like promises. Like when you make a promise to someone and you don't keep it. That's the thing for me. It's like that bothers me. To alleviate that, I remember, life is hard. People have more important things. You're not the most important person in the world. But what do you do to alleviate your anger?
Well, I usually, what I'll do is I'll have a temper tantrum, and then I'll tell whoever I'm tantruming out at that I'm hungry.
And they fix it.
And I'm a hungry baby, and I need I need helps. Give
Does
me
your real baby
helps.
handle it completely different?
And so I flip out, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just hungry. You have to understand, this doesn't count right now. This isn't real. What you're witnessing is just a figment of your imagination, and I don't mean anything by it. So let me just be mad. It's kind of like when women have PMS. You can't hold them against. You can't hold it against them.
Dude, I remember I had such a weird view of periods because I assumed one of my friends, she got me hired at Hannaford, good friend of mine, when I was younger in high school.
Shout out Hannaford Seltzer brand.
Seltzer. And
hand brand.
She one day we were like we were headed to work, and she was just complaining the entire day. And I was like, "You're really complaining today," and she was being really bitchy. And she looked at me and she said, "It's because I'm on my period, Mo. Okay, just chill the fuck out." I'm like, "Oh, my bad. I'm sorry." And then I said, "Why didn't you take a sick day?"
Yeah.
Because I was like 16 or 15 or whatever, and I like still wasn't around women all the time. And she was like, "What the fuck? Are you stupid? If I took a sick day during every period I had, I'd be out of, like, I wouldn't make any money." And I was like, "What do you mean?"
She's mostly on her period.
Because I thought the period was like a day. Because it was so stupid.
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, my periods vary. Mine is like a fucking week and a half." And I'm like,
"Oh, man.
That sounds like hell." And
is she still
like,
around?
Yeah.
She still made it? She made it through?
I think she's alive.
That rules.
She's a cool person. If you're alive, you know who you are. I still love you, girl. Hope life is good.
Yeah, I know that you just gotta let people have their feelings, and then but they have to be able to recognize that, hey, I don't mean anything by this. I'm just in a really bad mood. Let me have my bad mood. Let me get through it. I'm sorry. And then don't take anything personally by my anger.
Maybe I'm a bad person, but sometimes, I don't know, it's just like, depending on how much someone acts out, I just have like I don't know, it's like I remember, like, I'm like, man, this person can't control their emotions. Like, if, like, I know you're joking, but like, if someone like really blurted out to me, got really angry about like, "Oh, I'm really hungry, I'm sorry, don't worry about," I'd be like, "Dude, you're
a baby.
You're a baby. You're
no,
like
I'm a baby.
Sometimes people don't eat.
I'm an adult baby. I know. Well,
but I envision you being hangry and like your baby just being like, "It's okay, Daddy."
Yeah, that's what I need. That's why I decided to have a kid, is so I could have another little person telling me,
I'll make you a mud pie. Let me go outside." She just gets to work.
I got to make another person to tell me, "Hey, you are important. You are hungry. You are going to be okay, Dada."
I know one comment on one of the podcasts was like, "Oh man, you guys cover a lot of topics, but like, walk me through, like, what have you learned in fatherhood, Keith, so far? Like, what have you learned?"
Well, it's more of the process of learning that I learned the most about, because it's so funny how fatherhood, parenthood, whatever you want to call it, motherhood, it all like happens at a very normal pace, and it gives you time to adjust to everything that's happening. Things don't happen really, really fast. It's a very slow process. And like, it keeps things interesting because the whole time, like, you're learning a new thing. Like, when you're a brand new parent, it's pretty easy. It's really easy, but like, it's overwhelming because you've never experienced anything really like it. But like, all you have to worry about is getting the baby fed, changing the baby, and like, that's all that you really do at the beginning. And so that's like kind of training wheels. It's just kind of like a very basic thing, and then they start moving more, and then you have to adapt to that, and then it all happens so slow. It's like a very natural process of like becoming a parent, and like, it also gives you this really weird perspective on life that you just don't get unless you're a parent. You think you do. I always thought I did, and then I became a parent, and I was like, oh, this is so weird. Like, this is really, really weird. Like, because then you start thinking about things from the perspective of your parents, and you're like, oh man, they did that. Like, they had to do this. Like, man, what, you really put yourself in their shoes, and it's really kind of weird to like actually know what it's like to be in your parents' shoes when you were a kid and what you put them through or whatever. And it's like, man, I hope my kid doesn't put me through what I put my parents through in a lot of ways. But it's all a lot of hopes and stuff, and you're just kind of like, well, if they do the things that I did, and it's like, it's all about not becoming overwhelmed with everything. You don't let it overwhelm you. You have to just take it one step at a time. Like, but sometimes you're gonna get overwhelmed, and that's when hopefully you have a partner, someone to parent the kid with that can help you out through that tough time. Because it's very rare when both parents can't get their shit together at the same time.
It's crazy because, like, sometimes I see all the work that, like, my peers at work, like, all my friends, people who have young children go through. And I'm like, not to make this about me, but, like, think, like, my mom did that on her own. Like,
I know.
No help.
Yeah.
She did that with, like 2 out of 3 kids, 3 boys.
No relatives around?
Like, very few. And
Yeah.
the people that were around, like, weren't really, like, the best sometimes. Like, it was just, like, it was so weird. It was almost like, I don't know, my mom one time just sat me down one day when I was, like, a little older and was just like, it's you and me. Like, really, nobody else exists. She's like, I'm like, what about these family members? She's like, I don't really trust them. It's you and me. But, I don't know, like, she obviously did her job. But it's, like, stressful. Do you ever wonder, like, oh my god, am I fucking her up if I do this? Or am I, like, that's, to me, would suck as a dad. Like, because, like, for me, I constantly think, like, what thing did I do to completely ruin my child? Like.
Yeah, there's times when I'm worried about, causing permanent damage. But, like, I think a lot of it's, like, unnecessary worries. Because it's, like, there's all these weird parenting milestones that you're like, you want to hit, like, or you want your child to, have hit the milestones that they're supposed to hit on time of like what's common. But it's like sometimes,
like, walking words, dude.
Well, yeah, all that stuff, like just talking and walking and eating right, trying to teach them all that stuff, getting them to eat good food. It's really hard. Because, like, you can't force feed a kid. They're going to eat what they're going to eat. It's crazy. Like, it's so crazy when your kid is just freaking out at you. And it's because they're hungry. So you try to feed them, and they won't eat. Because they're mad. So it's like, you have to find a way to, like, trick them into eating. It's like it's a weird game, man. It's chess.
Dude, I was a summer camp counselor, and we had younger kids. Like, our line was like 6 or 7 at a sleepaway camp.
Yeah.
And some of these kids were from another country, and their parents were just like, fuck it, leaving my 7-year-old with you. And, like, these kids are freaking out every night. So I had the same stress of, like, trying to make, some spoiled rich brat from Spain eat. And they won't eat. And I'm like, fuck, eat, because you're going to die, and that's going to be on me.
They don't die. They don't die.
Die.
They will eat before they die. As long as they have food to eat.
They will eat before they die.
Very few babies are offered food and then eventually starve to death. I don't think that really happens.
But I don't know. At the time, I remember I was.
Can you imagine a kid that just like refuses to eat and they're like, yeah, starve to death. Had a plates full of food in front of them the whole time. Would not eat.
Death. I choose death.
Yeah, you don't. It just doesn't happen, man. Eventually, they get over it. They eat.
Do you feel more patient as a person now? Do you feel like being a dad has changed you in any way as a person? Like, just outside of, like, fatherhood, as a man, like, just going through life now, how has it changed you?
You appreciate any time that you have to yourself a lot more than you used to. That's a big one. It's like, because like all I had was time for so long, and then huge change happens, and then I have none of the time. I had so much time, man. It was all time. It was great, and then you just adapt to it. You just get used to all the things. It takes a little while, but it happens. You eventually get used to it.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like things are better in scarcity, though. Like, the less time you have, the more you enjoy that free time.
Yeah, totally.
Because I had an issue a while ago, maybe 2 years ago, where I had all the time in the world, and I was playing all the games I wanted, going to all the shows that I wanted, doing everything I wanted. But, like, it almost felt like I didn't appreciate it because I had so much of it. But now with, like, my career going the way it is, like, I have a relationship, I have a puppy, I have, like, things to do that are way more for me, like, than I'm used to. I know as a dad, you're probably like, Jesus, that sounds like an easy life to handle, but like it's more responsibility than I'm used to. So it's like I've lost a lot of personal time that I really cherish now versus before. I used to not care. I used to be sad during that time. I'd be like, man, I wish I had other things to do, or I just didn't appreciate it.
You just don't have any free time. Because when it's free, you basically try to put something in there because you don't want to just be laying around doing nothing. It's like, it's just a totally different thing. Like, I remember I just like, you get up Saturday morning, you just like don't do anything till like the middle of the afternoon. You're just like doing nothing productive at all.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
And that just changes. You stop doing that. So it kind of like lights a fire under you a little bit. You want to accomplish more with the time you have.
I remember, so during the pandemic, I had this one boss that I got really close with because she was the only person I was talking to. Like, it was pretty much her and my customers. Like, during the pandemic, I was working from home, and I got to know her. I got to know her family. And one weekend, she was at a restaurant across the street from my apartment, and she remembered, and she said, hey, why don't you come down, hang out with the family, we'll buy you lunch. And she sends me this text message at like 12 o'clock, and I wake up at like 1, and I look, and I'm like, fuck.
And you're like, I'm a loser.
I'm like,
I am a massive loser.
And thankfully they were having lunch late, so I was able to make it, and I like barely get my ass together. And she's like, oh my God, so how's your weekend been so far? I'm like, what have you done? And I felt like such a loser being like, I just woke up 30 minutes ago. And they had gone hiking. They had done a bunch of stuff. She had a whole family.
I know, man.
Like they had done a bunch of shit.
I know. It's a totally different thing. Like, you really try to do things when you have limited time. That's a big difference. And I mean, I wish I had more time. It's also with the relationship that I have, it's me and Amy work opposite schedules so that we can do less daycare,
which is so expensive. Dude, daycare could be as much as someone's salary.
Yeah, it's really expensive. And we have a whole variety of people that go to our daycare. There's people that you can tell like they're just trying to make ends meet, and there's people that are doing really well, and like you get a whole mix of people that go to this daycare. And I think that's good that you meet people all over the place, and people know how to like interact with people, and
That's why I like,
But
if I ever had a kid, I'd want them to go to public school.
yeah,
Cause
for sure.
like a good public school. Because, like, I want them to meet, like, a poor family and talk to them, or be able to talk to,
Yeah, because
and have friends with people who
the
have different
elitists,
backgrounds.
these elitists that they keep their kid in private school the whole time. They never meet regular people. They just know rich people, and I mean that's the trick, really. That's how you stay rich. You don't associate with any of the poors. It's just like keep them away.
I don't.
We have
think
our
that's
nice
how
little
you stay
rich people,
though, man. Because some of the best rich people I've met who are, like, really wealthy, they know how to talk to normal people.
Yeah, well,
you
those
have
are
to talk
sure.
to normal people. You have to know how to talk to.
But there's
normal
other
people,
rich people.
How to handle? There are other rich people, and
That's
lose
what they
their money over
subscribe
the
to.
years. They lose their money over time. Because
Maybe I think rich people help rich people a lot.
I do too. I agree. I don't know. I just think it's better for the child holistically. Even if I was a billionaire, I would hope that I could find a way to get my kid to a public school so they could meet normal people. Because I think it's better for your culture, better for your appreciation of things. To be like, I have a home. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I just think appreciation is really important. I think a lot of people lack it, especially after the pandemic, because people have become so. I think they've become more woe is me, things suck, I'm unhappy, yada yada, and I'm just like,
kids. The pandemic screwed kids up so bad,
melted their brains.
Oh
dude.
my god! Now kids getting their first jobs right now. Those kids are so weird. They're so freaky weird. They do not know how to talk to people. It's so uncomfortable. I feel so bad for them.
And it's like they talk to people like they're on the internet.
I don't give them a hard time. I don't make it hard for them. I don't make it weird. But I'm just like, oh, you poor kid. Like, you don't know how to react. Like, I was in the grocery store the other day, and I had to go through a line. You have too much stuff. You just gotta go through a line. And this kid was the cashier. Didn't greet us. Which is like, all right, fine, like that's fine. But it's a weird. I've never like when I've been a cashier and like, how do you not greet the person that comes up to you? That's just like a natural. Hi. It's like a natural instinct. Like it's just a total, and that's gone now.
Europeans don't. When I was in Amsterdam, they didn't greet you when you came up.
At a grocery store?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. Well,
very European. They sat.
This kid wasn't European.
Yeah.
I could tell, but. He's just standing there and he had like a dead expression on his face. And I'm just like, wow, dude, like you, not only do you hate being here, you're not even going to try to have any fun with it. Cause like, I remember when you're a cashier, like you can just sit there and phone it in, but that's that's way less fun than like.
And it makes your shift last
forever. Yes, yeah. Talk to people, have a conversation, even if it's a minute or too long. Like you don't have to talk about nothing. You can talk about something in 2 minutes. That's not just like, well, there's snow out there. Jeez,
I made so many connections working at Hannaford, dude. Because like I got my scholarship for school for sure came from some connections I made at Hannaford, because I met all the board members who eventually were like making decisions on that and like vouched for me. Like I don't know. I feel like obviously it sucks because we should live in a society where like you can get some vital things like an education and things like that without having to like suck someone's dick or whatever, be like nice but like it's because it should be granted to you as a human being to contribute into the world. But like it makes your shift longer when you're a dick.
Oh, it's not fun.
And it's just, you're going to be there. You're there for 8 hours unless you quit, which maybe you should. Just make it fun for you. Have fun with it. Make it a good time. Crack some jokes. I had great conversations with customers. I became friends with some customers.
Yeah. I mean, when I was working at Whole Foods in California, there was this guy who would come in and he would
Your stalker?
Nope, not Christopher, the little black stalker.
Christopher, the little pimp who wanted to put you in his corral.
Yeah. No, that guy.
Sorry for laughing at your trauma.
Thanks, man. No, it was this guy. He'd come in and I'd cook his fish for him. Like that used to be a thing you could have done. Like I worked in the seafood department, and you could as a customer order fish and then have them make it for you.
Like grill it?
I'd grill it or whatever they want to do with it. Pan, sear it, throw it on the grill, any of that stuff, whatever. We had all that. And this guy would come in like a few times a week, and then inevitably, like I'd talk to him because his fish is cooking.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like come out and while it was on the grill or whatever, and I'd be having a conversation, and like we talked about all kinds of cool, interesting stuff. And then one day I happened to be on a break when he came in. And he was in a different part of the store, and he was dressed up like nice. And I was like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you dressed this way?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to a dance." I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of like, where's there a dance? Like, that's a weird thing." He's like, "Well, for the school." And I'm like, "Oh, as high school." I was like, "Oh, are you a parent or something?" He's like, "No, I'm the principal."
Mm.
So this was the high school principal of this school in Huntington Beach, California, who I'd been talking to. Didn't even know he was a principal.
Can't even cook his own fish.
Well, why the options there, wouldn't you, for free? I mean,
well,
why not? So, but yeah, I eventually became really good friends with him. We'd take hikes, and really cool guy. And this guy was like, it was like hanging out with a celebrity. Everybody knew this guy. We'd be walking around like the outdoor mall area, like in where the plaza was, where the Whole Foods was, and there'd just be people coming up to him, like recent graduates or people who graduated years before, giving this guy hugs. They love this guy, and that was someone who I met just by having a conversation, and it was just and we would take hikes, and
I met a lot of cool people too. I met Andrew Zimmern, the Bizarre Foods guy at Portland, Hannaford, late night. He was cool. I met an attorney who had done oral arguments as one of the representatives for the landmark case that won gay marriage for the whole country. And I helped her take her stuff outside and put her stuff in the...
You cool with gay marriage?
Safe. Yeah, of course.
All right, good.
Yeah. It was a journey. I grew up conservative Muslim, so obviously it wasn't like I came out the womb with a family who would
with like in a rainbow towel.
In a rainbow towel, but yeah, no. High school, I had friends who were in my homeroom who were gay. I asked a lot of stupid questions, got a lot of stupid answers, and
nice.
Over time, definitely support the gays, support people doing what they want, man.
Yeah, man. As long as it's not hurting you, what do you care?
In which we live in a society too that that accepts people for that one way or another. Like we have a part of this country who's fighting against it, but we have to understand, like,
gotta fight the good fight.
We talk so much shit about America, but like you go to some other countries, you could be put to death for being gay, or you could be put to death for being trans, and granted, the fight has to keep going, and you have to keep fighting, but it's still a lot better than some other places.
But if I were gay, I'd probably every once in a while want to take a nice gay nap. That's what I want to do.
What makes a gay nap different than a straight nap?
Nothing. It's the same.
It's the same nap.
That's just you're gay when you take the nap. That's the only difference.
When you wake up, you're
you wake up, you're still gay.
Maybe that's the key to like conversion camps. That's fucked up. Just take a nap. Have you tried taking a nap?
Have you thought about it?
No. I will say, dude, appreciation is something that I just see lacking in America in general. You know what makes me appreciative of things? I don't know.
DoorDash.
Privilege. So I ever tell you when I visited Africa, when I went back to Africa when I was a kid?
Did you have to get a bunch of shots?
Yeah, I got a bunch of shots.
Yeah, that's all I hear about going to Africa. You gotta get a lot of shots.
You gotta get a lot of shots. And what's pissed me off about that trip is my mom took me, and it was just the Cell series was going on in Dragon Ball Z. And if you know, you know. And
I don't.
I was really mad because I couldn't watch the anime that summer. It was on Toonami, and my mom was just like, "We're going to Africa this summer while you're not in school." I'm like, "Oh."
How long were you in Africa?
Oh, like 3-4 months. I came back probably before Thanksgiving, so I bled into the school year. And I was there to visit my dad for the first time. And I was really there so my mom could get laid because she hadn't seen my dad in like 6 years and was being loyal. Um, so we go, and I
Did
don't
she
know.
tell you that? Did your mom sit you down and was like, "Hey son, I need to go to Africa so I can go get my lay on."
No, no. What she did was we went to Africa, and then the minute she saw my dad, she went to, like, you remember back in the day where you could punch in and out? She punched out of motherhood for 4 months, and my dad punched into fatherhood. I didn't
Oh,
see my mom for like 4 months when I was out there.
wow.
She was gone. She was having fun. She earned it, dude. My mom was like being a single mom in America, so she just like left me with my dad and like was just living her life. But we went, and I don't remember the full trip. I just remember like blurts of it. Like there are rolling blackouts. So like around like from 3 o'clock to like 7 or 8, power was out. So I would watch TV from a dish, and there was a Disney Channel there, but it was like Arabic, and I watched the Disney Channel, and it was about halfway into a Disney movie when the power would go out. So I'd always be able to watch half a Disney movie. But
Did it ever make you sad that you weren't able to eat food out of the dish?
what?
Never mind.
Is that a fat joke, or is that
No, it's
a
just a
food
dish.
insecurity joke?
It's a dish joke.
It's a dish
Just a
joke.
good old dish. I just doing a little play on words
It
there.
was a dirty dish.
Dish.
I got two head injuries when I was there. First one was I learned a lot about feminism because I met my sisters for the first time out there, and I called my sister a bitch, and she threw a rock at me in my forehead. I have a scar on my
I
forehead.
see that.
Right
Yeah.
here. I'm the boy who lived
Oh, that's a
under the
different
poverty
scar.
line.
Yeah, yeah.
And the reason why I called her that was because
Because she was being a bitch.
no, she wasn't. She was trying to save my life because there was gunfire. And
Oh, classic.
She was
Classic
telling me,
sister story.
she was telling me to run to the wall, which she was doing, and crouch. And then I was like, the gunshots sound very far away. I'm 10. I'm like, the gunshots sound very far away, so I don't have to fucking do that. I don't see any holes coming here. I'm just gonna stand and play. And she's like, you fucking idiot, get to the wall. And she like grabbed me. And I was like, you fucking bitch. And then she grabbed me, forced me to the wall. This is an 8-year-old is pulling me to the wall. I'm a 10-year-old.
Whoa.
So we're just different people. And finally, the gunshots stop. We wait back there. And then she lets me go. And then she's like, what the fuck did you call me? And grabbed a rock and nailed me.
Damn. Well, you deserved it, man.
I
Wow.
did. It was so bad.
Wow, your
That
sister
was my
just
first
saved your
head
ass,
injury.
man.
And
She did give you a nice head injury to remember, though.
yeah, she did. And she like goes back. She's proud of it. I mention it
Yeah,
all the
it's
time.
cool
I'm
that
like,
you
right
have
here?
that. No, that's.
You notice it when I tell you, right? It's a hard scar to just kind of pick out.
Oh yeah, no, I see it.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's first head injury. Second one.
Well, that's the cool thing about that scar. It has a really cool story.
It's a fucked up story. Yeah.
Like, I don't have any cool scar stories. You got one right on your face. The day you called your sister a bitch, and then she saved your life.
Yeah, and my dad, I remember my dad took my side, and I was like, you probably shouldn't take my side on it. But
He's like, I'm a dad. I gotta take my son's side.
one time, so my mom had warned me before coming. She's like, I don't want you talking to strangers.
Classic advice. Classic mom advice.
Which wasn't advice that she gave me in America.
Oh, word?
Because in America, she was like, yeah, go talk to every stranger. Get to know them. Maybe they'll give you a scholarship. Like, maybe they'll
Interesting.
adopt you, take you home. Like talk to all the strangers. But when we were in Africa, she was very particular. She's like, don't talk to strangers. Because the minute you talk in our language, they're going to figure out pretty quickly from how chubby you are and the way you speak our language that you're an American. And they're going to try to kidnap you. And I don't have enough money to pay for a ransom.
What's the ransom?
I don't know. It depends. You have to negotiate it.
Yeah.
You have to because they start so high. They're like, give us $30,000, and my mom will have to be like, I don't know if my kid's worth $30,000. Have you seen his last report card? Like,
That's That's a
give you
$10,000.
$5.
That's a $5,000 kid.
You have $5,000.
That report card. That's a $5,000
It's
kid.
like
I'm not.
a car dealership. You got to walk out to. You got to just be like, I'm willing to let the deal hang. But
Oh my god.
so my mom's like, don't talk to strangers. So I'm not talking to strangers. My dad hires a police officer, and he takes a gun and he takes me out to the main city because he wants me to experience my culture, see my people, see where, like, you know, my family's from. So he takes me out on this long walk, and then he ends the trip at like, not like a bar because it's an Islamic country. It was like a place to eat food, and like it was a restaurant, but it was like more than a restaurant. People hung out, people played games there, and my dad had left me unattended for like a second, and a guy had stopped me and told me to talk to him, and I was talking to him, and I forgot all the rules, and I said, "Yeah, my name's Mohammed." And he's like, "You're Abdurrahim's son, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he points a gun at me. Real story. And he's like, "Tell me about America." And we start talking. I'm like scared out of my mind.
Oh, I'd be scared. I'd
And
be
then
so
my
scared.
dad comes up behind me, and he's like, "What's going on here?" And he starts laughing it off. And he's like, and the guy looks at him, and he's like, "Abdurrahim!" He puts the gun down, and he starts hugging my dad. And he's like, "Your kid shouldn't talk to strangers." Like,
Wow, dude. Oh man.
And it turns out to be one of my uncles. And like, classic. I dropped my phone. Classic uncle. You know, holding me at gunpoint. And so the night ends, and we're headed back home. Right. The officer drops us off near our house. But we still have to walk. And it gets dark in Africa. It gets dark. It's like, you know, people say you go to northern Maine, it gets really dark.
Yeah.
When you're in Africa,
Well, there's a lot of white people
dark,
there. It's
dark.
not that dark.
Oh, fuck yeah. It's because all the black people come out at night and they make it even darker, right? No.
What?
And by that same logic, dude.
I know, it's illogical.
So my dad wants to fuck with me, right? So he had told me at one point, he planted the seed of this. He was like, "In Africa, we have cannibals. And the cannibals, they come at night. And they go after fat little American boys. They love it. It tastes like sugar." And my dad had built this up. And my dad is really dark-skinned. He was really dark-skinned. He died. He's dead to me. I don't like my dad. But he just at night he just disappeared like a vampire into the mist. Like it was just like you just couldn't see him.
Well, your dad seems like a pretty cool guy.
And suddenly he's making noises everywhere. And he's going through the bushes, he's making noises. I don't think it's him, I think it's the cannibals. And he starts screaming from the distance, "They have me, son! Run!" And our house is like a couple blocks away. He's like, "Run!" And he's like running behind me, screaming, telling me to run. So I'm running, but I'm not getting very far. And it's pitch dark out. There are no lights out of the house. So we get close to the compound, and I don't see anything. And I'm running. My dad's like, "Run! Run! The cannibals are coming!" And he's throwing shit at my back. He's like grabbing me and letting me go. And then finally I get to the wall, and I just smack my head against the wall, like the wall around the compound. And that was my second head injury
So
in Africa.
So your dad was just doing some low key child abuse?
I think it was high key.
I think it might be high. That's possibly high key child abuse.
But dude, like looking back, like these were really funny. My mom was the only time my mom came back to shift too. Was like she was like, "That's fucked up. Like, why'd you do that?"
She's like, "Come on, Mo's dad. Why are you doing this? This is twisted. We can't be messing around with Mo. We can't make him think that people are gonna eat him."
These stories, though, like at the time, weren't that bad because kids bounce back, and I wasn't as traumatized. But like, I walked away from that trip in Africa with a lot of appreciation because I saw a lot of object poverty. And I remember when we were leaving, we were on a bus to get to the airport. And these buses, when they know that you're going to like an airport, they get surrounded by like people, like poor people, and people are begging for money, and the windows are always down because it's so hot and nobody's like there's no AC or anything running.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in the window seat, and people grab inside of the windows, or they're begging for money. They try to sell you things. And one guy was reaching out and grabbed my hand. And he said, "Please, young man, give me something." And I told him in Somali, I was like, "I don't have anything." I said, "Wahmhe." And he looked at me and he started laughing. And my mom started laughing. And like everybody around started laughing. It's because I pronounced it incorrectly in Somali. I like didn't have the right pronunciation. He's like, "You don't have anything?" And he let me go because he started laughing. He was just like, "I think you have something." Because like he knew I was going like back to America. And it's like I have...
What, you think you had a rhino horn or something? What does he want?
More, you know. I had a rhino horn up my butt. But I had the opportunity, you know. I had more than he could ever have. Like when you see object poverty, when you see like developing world poverty, you have a sense of appreciation for it. Like that I feel like people don't have.
Yeah, you have a very similar story to that. No, I have nothing like that.
In Marblehead?
Yeah.
Tell me about object poverty in Marblehead with their one homeless guy. Did you just follow the homeless guy around?
No, we had a guy, there was a guy that, I'd be playing basketball with my buddies, and we had the local drunk guy, and he would sometimes come over to us and talk to us, and, he'd have a couple of open beers in his jacket pockets at all times. And then one time he grabbed the basketball and he's like, "Can I take a couple shots?" And he took a couple shots, and there's like beer spilling out of his pockets. And we were little kids. We don't know what that's all about. That's about as scary as it got.
Mm.
One time there was a guy, my next door neighbor's son, who was schizophrenic. And I didn't know that until later on in life. But one time I remember me and the neighborhood kids were hanging out in front of my house, and this guy just came up to us and was like, "Do you guys want to know about the birds and the bees?" And so he just started talking to us about sex. And we were probably in like third grade.
Was it like good material?
I don't remember. I don't remember how good.
Up.
Yeah, it was a little weird. I think honestly though, it wasn't. The situation is incredibly creepy, but I will say that the topic was very like discussed in a very like good, like in a very like medically sound way. Like he was being very informative. He wasn't being. He was like, "You know what? I'm gonna teach these kids a little bit about sex as a schizophrenic man in my late 30s, and I'm gonna do a good job."
See, I think this is what this generation's missing, though. Because, like, you learned about the birds and the bees.
From a schizophrenic man living with his mother in his
Does it
late
really
30s.
matter where the wisdom came from?
I mean, if you were to look at the bibliography on my sex education, and you saw that entry, you were like, "Oh, the schizophrenic man in his late 30s doled out that info." Can you really take it at face value?
I don't know, man. You could look at the information. First off, schizophrenic, what? Are we just going to discredit all people with a mental health issue? Or, like...
No.
Are just gonna,
that's not what I said.
They have no good information?
No, but the like, why is a schizophrenic person just, like, hanging around kids? Like, that seems a little... And then not even a relative, just, like, a neighbor.
What I think the weirdest thing about that story is the information's accurate. It's weird, like very medically accurate.
From what
like down, like it's not like he went up to you and be like, "Kid, you want to see my cock and balls?"
The only thing I really remember, he talked about the sperm and the egg. That's really my recollection. He didn't
think that is traumatic, though. Not to make fun. I shouldn't make light of it.
No, let me just rip on your cannibalism story, your gunfire story.
Yeah.
And really, no, it's...
You want to analyze that?
Yeah, it's a pretty good made-up story that you told. You're a pretty good storyteller, Mo.
I'm not a good storyteller. Also, those are all real.
I know.
They're
Okay.
all real stories.
I know.
Don't discredit.
You probably
stories.
punched him up a little bit.
No, I should punch them up more because they're not like they're not ready for any material. Like they need to be punched up more. There has to be more lying included there.
You gotta lie it up.
You gotta lie it up a lot.
Like some of these comedians these days, you gotta lie it up, lie it up, lie it up, lie it up.
I don't think we should talk about comedians lying about stuff.
No, we won't. We let people fill in the blanks. They can figure out who lies.
Hassan Minaj.
Bert Kreischer.
You don't believe the machine story, dude?
I believe some of it.
I definitely peaked.
You've peaked a long time ago.
Dude, talking about the machine, I'm a Bert Kreischer fan. I actually think Secret Time is a very funny, special. I like when he talks about having a family, and I like the characters of his daughters and his wife. Like, I think that was a funny special. I like the machine story, but you can only hear it once. But the fact that they made a whole movie about one comic's singular bit.
Yeah, but when you see him,
weird.
Well, when you see him live, he always tells the story at the end.
Yeah, because
he does his whole act, and then he comes out and he does the 10-minute machine story.
People want to hear it because they're Bert Kreischer fans.
Yeah, it's a big story. It's this big thing, and yeah, I mean, but it's fine. I think he will admit to embellishing things, and it doesn't matter. But like we won't have to get into that other guy, but
yeah, that was worse.
a lot worse.
It was a lot worse. I don't know, man. I feel like if you were to tell certain stories, like some of my best bits aren't funny if I were to be 100% truthful about the scenario, because some of them are traumatic. Some of those scenarios, they happen the way they did, but the sequencing isn't funny. The sequence wasn't funny of the event. So you have to change the sequence up. But also it's like, I'm already telling you things that have a lot of truth in them. And I'm already getting you pretty close to me. If I gave you everything, it's weird. Because you don't want to be too close. Because people think it's weird, you know? Or maybe I'm not articulating this well enough. But like, there's like a point where you can't be too transparent with the audience. Because like then it gets too real, you know?
Yeah,
it's too real.
Well, if you're going for a comedy angle, you have to make it funny, and sometimes in order to make something funny, you have to put in observations that are funny observations to punch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, is there anything worse than someone telling you a boring story that's too long? That's maybe the worst thing in the world. If someone is telling me a long, boring story, I will make it visibly apparent that I do not like the story, and I'm sorry. Maybe it makes me a dick, but it's like I can't. I'll
sit through it. I'll have to say, like, I feel weird because, like, especially like when people, you know, who I'm okay or like really confident with telling, oh, your story sucks, or like, or this is boring or shitty, like comics, like, because I can tell a comic that. Yeah. And there's an understanding of like, oh, they understand like the economy of words. They understand the performance angle.
Yeah.
They can kind of go, okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm putting you through this. But like a person who's sane, who doesn't do stand up.
A normal person.
And they're like just trying to share a story to relate to you, or like they're just straight up sharing something that they think is meaningful.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, you're boring because you're not getting to the motherfucking chase, and you don't have beats, and like, like,
it's important.
Get the fuck out of here.
It's really important. Like when people get caught up in the nitty gritty of a story, when they have to tell you that it was 9:45 in the morning on Friday. Oh, wait a minute, it was actually 10, but I think it was on when a story starts like that, I'm like, you're the worst person ever.
What other signs are like a bad story like coming? Like, I think
just bad details, unnecessary detail in a story.
I think any story associated with something that you watched on TV instantly a bad story. I think we're going the wrong. Like if you're recapping like a game or something.
If you want to give a smidge so that they can go check it out, perfect.
Yeah, but like
That's
a
great.
whole story of like, oh, this is how I felt when the Celtics finals, like Game 5, freaking guy jumped into the reporter. Like, no, dude,
it's a nightmare, and I think everybody should be aware that other people are paying attention to your story, and other people know that your story sucks, and you should be constantly worried when you're telling your story. Hey, is this suck? Is this a sucky story? Should I make this better? Do I need to cut something out to get to the end? People need to think about that because this is people's time. People's time is valuable.
It is very valuable. But also, I think also people underestimate that if you're just saying a story really fast to get through it, like you're not giving time for people to process. You can take a pause. People don't pause enough when they tell a story or they share information. Like they don't take a breather, you know? Let it sit. Some of the best storytellers, they're really okay with a nice little, 20-second, oh, and then this happened. Yeah, it's crazy that they did that. Or like a little bit of pauses, but I don't know. Who's the worst storyteller you've ever met? You don't have to say their name, but like, what were they trying to explain to you?
Are you kidding me? That's like pretty much. I think a lot of people are bad storytellers. I think it's people mostly are bad at it because they add too many. It's the same thing with comedy. When you start, you have way too many unnecessary details that don't add to the story.
Open micers. Every open micer. So many open micers I've met who awful stories they come out with.
It's
that
bad.
Aren't even interesting. Like and when you make the story about the punchline, or when you can easily listen to the story and you go, that's fake. All of it's fake. There's not even a little bit of a truth to that.
Yep.
It's all a big lie.
It's sad. It's a sad thing. One last thing before we go. You had a grapefruit seltzer?
I didn't.
Did you notice that?
No, I didn't notice the flavor.
Now, I get a question for you. What's your opinion on grapefruit juice? Would you ever drink a glass of grapefruit juice?
Not a glass. Solo? Pure? No.
Okay.
Mixed? Maybe. You?
I love grapefruit juice.
You drink grapefruit juice.
I would.
Raw.
I would drink it raw. I don't really drink juice anymore, but like that would be one
that is a flex. I don't drink juice anymore because I'm really healthy and I care about like what's in my body.
No, I just don't drink a lot of juice. I don't know. I used to drink more juice, I guess, but I like an occasional orange juice. The downfall of grapefruit, too acidic a lot of time.
I don't get people that are like, I'm going to put sugar on top of my grapefruit and take a spoon and just go.
It's just a different way to eat sugar. Yeah. But I think this has been a pretty good episode of Mo Keith Time, and we're glad that you came back, and we hope we see you again soon.